yours. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we're going to welcome Mark Delaney, and we're going to pick with him. So good evening, everyone. We want to thank you for attending. This year we have had our Pledge of Allegiance led by elementary school students, and our pledge leaders for tonight are from Harvest Ridge Elementary. I'd like to welcome Mila, London, Raylan, Malachi, Natalie, Bryce, and Kinsley to come forward, and they will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Will you all please rise?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I thought something was missing to the Pledge of Allegiance. I turned around, I knew what it was. She came and joined us. The last part was absolutely the best. So thank you all for joining us. We have a moment to have a superintendent welcome. We've had a lot of great things happening in the life of this district over the last few months. And in my opinion, one of the absolute best things that's been happening has been watching Mark Delaney serve as our interim superintendent. He has functioned in a way that has added just a level of calm to a boat that sometimes has some rocky seas over here in Francis Howell. We voted unanimously to offer Mark the position, to take away the interim title and for having him to function as our superintendent. You saw some of the press releases, but one of the things we shared is that Mark had 2 decades of service at Francis Howell. He's an experienced leader. He's respected by parents, community leaders, and staff throughout the district. He is the right person to lead us into the next chapter and deliver on our goals in our strategic plan. Sometimes social media can have people who are like pro and against. I don't know if you guys ever realized that, but all these announcements of Mark Delaney will be our superintendent, it was just person after person from a different angle of Mark's life, a different part of his tenure here, who have said, what a great hire. And I just want to say thank you to Mark Delaney for stepping up to the plate when you were asked to serve. We appreciate the way that you have exhibited some calm confidence, strategic thinking, and an ability to get things done. And we are so thankful to be able to extend to you the contract as the superintendent of the Francis Howell School District. And we would like to all applaud and take a picture with you.
Don't put a tear in my eye, don't do that.
I cut it short too. Here, you're in the front, and then
Don't worry, we'll stand on our toes. Yeah, I need.
do this.
Is that me? Is that you?
No.
All right.
Well, you made me the happiest guy.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm just the president,
Congratulations.
standing in front of a superintendent.
We're just gonna do like the crazy photo.
Will you be our superintendent without a one knee?
Okay, thank you.
Oh, no, thank you. She's hiding under her desk.
You should have done that. That would be great.
Do you need help?
Again, thank you very much, Mark. We look forward to your superintendent comments near the end. And so, board, we have a motion to approve the agenda for December 11th, 2025 as presented.
Second.
Director Buskard, Director Ponder, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Motion passes. Next, we have a strategic actually, before we do the strategic plan update, we've been saying this on a regular basis, and just as a way for the board to continue to own this ourselves, we're going to share our vision again for 2030, and invite Director Oki to say the first one. Of the year 2030, the Francis Howell School District will be
recognized as one of the top 5% high-performing districts in the state.
The employer of choice for talented educators, leaders, and staff.
Fiscally sound with a track record of smart, long-term planning.
Known for graduating well-rounded students who are equipped with the skills and experiences they need to be successful in the world.
Celebrated for the work we've done on culture, morals, and ensuring all members of our community feel safe and welcome.
Trusted by families and the community to make good decisions and do what is best for students.
We just approved an agenda that helps us follow our strategic plans. And now I'd like to invite Ms. Joels to come forward and share our spotlight.
Thank you, President Blair. Very brief strategic plan spotlight this evening, and then we'll have that bigger presentation for you in January where we have each pillar leader come forward and share the progress that's happened on the plan over the last quarter. So really tonight we just want to call your attention to the board docs agenda, which you can see up here, and if Ms. Hepler wants to scroll down just a little bit, you'll see some new parenthetical statements after each agenda item that just shows which pillar the item is aligned to, and that really serves two purposes. It's a small detail, but it helps our leaders think about how their work aligns with the strategic plan, and it also helps educate and reinforce our priorities with the broader Francis Howell community. And as a reminder, you can find the full strategic plan and what those pillars are and all of the strategies on the district website on the About section. And if it's okay with you, I'll just roll right into special recognitions. So tonight, we are excited to have in our presence this evening the Missouri Class 5 State Cheerleading Champions, our very own Francis Howell Viking cheerleaders. And yes. So for the first time in school history and after multiple Final Four appearances, Francis Howell Varsity Cheer clinched the state championship trophy. The competition was held November 1st at Mizzou, and hopefully you had a chance to stop by the reception area earlier tonight to see the trophy and congratulate the team. We believe this is only the second time in district history that a cheer team has achieved a state title. Francis Howell Central earned the honor in 2016. And I'm going to turn it over to Howell High Activities Director, Dr. Jake Adams.
Trying to knock this over, I guess. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The board, thanks for having me here tonight. As Ms. Joel said, I'm the Activities Director at Francis Howell High School, and it is my pleasure this evening to be here to introduce our 2025 State Champion Francis Howell Cheerleading Team. Give one more round of applause. If you haven't had the privilege of going to a state championship cheer event, you really got to do it. It's incredibly intense. It requires a nearly flawless performance to get the job done and win a state championship. And this group of incredibly hardworking and talented athletes did just that. Our faculty and staff couldn't be more proud of them. And at this point, I'll turn it over to head coach Alex Bonner.
First and foremost, I want to thank each and every one of you for inviting us out here today and taking time out of your meeting for our team to be recognized. We are truly honored to be here. My name is Coach Alex Bonner. I'm the head coach of the Francis Howell High School cheerleading program. As a Francis Howell graduate and former cheerleader myself, this program has held a special place in my heart for many years now. And I can say with full sincerity, there has never been a moment that has made me prouder than standing here today, celebrating our first ever state championship. These athletes behind me are not just the loudest voices on the sidelines. They show up everywhere. Every football game, every basketball game, every girls basketball game, community appearances, they truly lift and support our entire school community. But beyond that, they have their own dreams and their own goals, and an intense competitive season that demands a lot, if not everything that they have. Their excellence doesn't end on the mat. This team thrives in the classroom too, maintaining an impressive average GPA of 3.5, on top of 3 or 4 practices a week, games, social lives, other activities, homework, all of the above. They balance all of this while performing at a high academic level, and their dedication to being well-rounded student athletes is something that all of our coaches are very proud of. For anyone who may not be familiar with the sport of cheerleading, I'm just going to paint a quick picture. It's subjective, it can be frustrating, and sometimes it does feel a little unfair. We spend hundreds of hours practicing, reviewing film, conditioning, and perfecting details, all for the opportunity to perform a 2-minute and 30-second routine just one single time. Yet year after year, these athletes choose to rise to the challenge and come back, and every May to November, we will sit and we will drill the same routine over and over and over again. Because like Dr. Adams said, in this sport, to win it, you have to be near perfect. In my 5 years as the head coach of this program, I have seen these kids make history over and over again. 2022, we got our first ever top 4 finish. 23 and 24, our first ever back-to-back state runner-up finishes. And now in 25, we received our first place regional title, and now our first ever state championship. A climb that took discipline, heart, and commitment. None of this would be possible without the support of our activities department and Dr. Adams. In a sport that's not always cheered on ourselves, we get a ton of support from the Francis Howell High School Activities Office and District. Along with that, I have to give a huge shout out to our boosters and parent involvement. They are absolutely unmatched. And then, of course, our incredible coaching staff that we have in the room, Alyssa O'Brien, Abby Daniels, and Sydney Callahan. They all bring something unique to the program. Thank you from me for pouring your entire hearts into these athletes. We are absolutely crazy about them and obsessed with what we do. So they really are a coaching dream team and have officially raised the bar. I'm almost done, I promise. I just have to do it justice. From the very first practice, this team chose to fight for one another. They pushed through late nights, injuries, setbacks, and every time that I asked them to do it just one more time. They never backed down. This championship is not just a trophy. It's a testament to their grit, their trust, and a bond within a team that cannot be broken. To our team and our coaches, you didn't just win a state championship. You made history. The first ever in our school's story. You set a new standard for what it means to compete, to lead, and to love something enough to give it everything you have. I am endlessly proud to be your coach, and I know I speak for all of the coaches. We are endlessly proud of how you show up for one another and for yourselves. This moment belongs to each and every one of you, and I hope it's one you carry with you for the rest of your lives. And finally, before we come up here, we're going to show a quick video of the routine. It's a beautiful routine, and it's the highest scoring routine Francis Howell has ever put on the mat, and our first routine to ever win us the state title. Something you should be very proud of. That's the best video we have. Thank you. And now it's my pleasure to bring up our coaches and our varsity team here who won the state championship. We're missing quite a few due to sickness and other activities and things they're involved in. But yeah, I would love to bring you guys up and we'll get a picture.
Congratulations on being the best girls.
Do you want us to scoot back?
Yeah, actually, let's do that.
In unison, nicely done.
Got short people back here.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. And 2, 3. Thank you, guys. Thank
Great. Next, we are excited to introduce our student board representative for December. And as you know by now, the purpose of the student board rep program is to honor and recognize talented students, elevate student voice, and provide growth opportunities in the areas of public speaking, leadership, and governance. Students are selected for this honor by their principal with input from the student body. They have an opportunity to prepare and deliver a short speech to the board and the public that is focused on their school or the district. And with that, I'll invite Dr. Rob Goff to the podium to introduce our student board rep from Francis Howell Central.
Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce Drew Dungan as our representative for the board from Francis Howell Central. Drew is a junior at Francis Howell Central. He previously attended Cosley and Bryan. He's represented the Francis Howell School District in Missouri Youth Government, MOAG, since 8th grade as a legislator, writer, debater, and voting on bills. In his sophomore year, he served as House of Representatives clerk. And this year's conference, he authored a bill addressing consequences of drunk driving, inspired by an incident in August where 2 of his close friends were struck by a repeat DUI offender and severely injured. His bill was passed by both houses and signed by the presiding governor of Youth and Government. Additionally, he ran a campaign for governor and was elected to preside over the 2026 conference alongside other officers from Francis Howell School District. This is the first time in the history of the conference that a representative from Francis Howell Central delegation will be the presiding officer. So Drew ultimately is going to be the governor this year, coming year for Youth and Government. He wanted to thank Mr. Pearson, Mr. Van Horn, Ms. Jont, and Ms. Resnick for giving him the opportunities to learn what it took to get to that point in Youth and Government. Drew also competes in track and field. He throws the javelin, is in the top 10 leaderboard at Francis Howell Central for the javelin. Outside of school, Drew is a competitive mountain biker. He participates in the National Interscholastic Cycling Association. There's over 600 high schools that participate in that. He and some of his teammates from the Francis Howell High School and Francis Howell North would love to expand this at some point to have a school team representing the Francis Howell School District. Drew is considering all of his options after high school, including the National Park Service, maybe a firefighter. I can really see him in government service. So it's my pleasure to introduce Drew.
I'm going to be 100% honest. You hit most of the points that I'll talk about. Good evening. My name's Drew Dungan. You know that. I'm a junior at Howell Central. I've been a student in this district for 12 years now, ever since kindergarten. I'd like to thank the school board for having me here tonight, and I'd like to thank Dr. Goff for choosing me to represent our school. I'm very honored to be here and representing my school. And yeah, I really appreciate it. So thank you. Oh, and thank you to my parents. And congratulations to our new superintendent. But yeah.
Director Wilkie will kind of get you squared away up where you need it.
You're the center.
Yeah.
Windows.
We're the short ones.
Yes, push just a little bit, Amy. There
Here you go. I'll peek around.
All right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
All right. Up to.
Thank you. For honoring that, yeah. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, kid. All right, Drew, welcome, and we're super glad to have you here with us tonight as our student guest member on the Board of Education. Please feel free to ask questions. You have a microphone to your left, and you have an iPad that will load the agenda. I'll help you with that in just a second. And if you have any questions, just ask. You're not allowed to vote yet, okay? But your input is super valuable, and we'll do our best to help you navigate, okay? Thank you.
And again, welcome. We're moving towards the patron comments part of our meeting tonight. I want to remind everybody that during patron comments, residents of this district and staff members are invited to address the Board of Education on issues related to the school district. Speakers are called forward in the order to sign up, and each speaker has 3 minutes to make their remarks. Please remember that only one speaker is allowed at the podium at a time, and combining time or giving your time to someone else is not permitted. The board appreciates that you have taken the time to come this evening, and we value both your input and your perspective. I would like to remind everyone that we expect that speakers will remain civil and respectful when giving remarks. If anyone fails to comply with board policies, regulations, and rules, we reserve the right to cut those 3 minutes short. And we also ask that patrons in the audience remain quiet in order to be respectful of the speaker's allotted time. And our first speaker tonight is Harry Harris. I welcome you to come forward.
All right, thank you, and good evening, board. I'd like to first say congratulations to Mr. Delaney in accepting the position as superintendent. Not to be too nerdy, but I'm happy you get to be our Optimus Prime, which is a Transformer reference, if you didn't know. Because there's a whole lot of Decepticons out there, and we really need good leadership. So congratulations and thank you. But that brings me to my point for being here tonight. A few short weeks ago, I sat in the back of the room after not being to meetings for a bit. It was great to hear all the updates about the district, and it always is. But we got to a point in the evening that in some ways I still find unbelievable that it happened. While sitting back there, I suddenly heard Director Pushkar utter the slur for black people that many will refer to as the N-word. I'd like to say it took me by surprise, but it didn't. This board member has consistently shown a pattern that would lead to this. Taking part in removing the anti-discrimination and racism resolution and going after students who protested said removal, and ultimately deciding to put that word into a video into the annals of FHSD history. Oddly enough, doing this knowing that we are mere months removed from a janitor scribbling those words on a bathroom wall and sending some in our district into a state of panic. And let me take a moment to acknowledge that the word was in a book that apparently is available somewhere in our district. It's The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. It's a great book. I read it years ago myself. It's a semi-biographical story of the author growing up dirt poor in West Virginia. She recalls an uncle using the slur and talking about it. Now, you may wonder why it's okay in the book, but maybe a problem when announced from the dais. Well, one way is an attempt to recall the history of an era that is thankfully gone by, and the other is a publicity stunt meant to get a rise from people. An irresponsible use treading on the bigoted history of our country just to score points. A use that should be condemned and not sanctioned, and to choose to make that statement out loud shows a severe lack of decorum and frankly common sense. History should not be hidden in some closet. We need to tell our kids and our kids' kids that people use slurs like that they used blackface, they lynched, all in order to control and intimidate those who didn't look like them. We do that through education and not gross pandering moments in a board meeting. It does remind me, though, that soon students will sign up for next year's classes, and I encourage all of our high schoolers to look into our Black history and literature classes that we have here in our district. And maybe we can save a few seats for some board members. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next is Carrie Zawoski.
Hello. Good evening. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Socks and Crocs Day at my school. At last month's meeting, I was shocked to hear Director Pushkar read a passage from the book The Glass Castle containing the N-word. When asked to provide the page numbers so the public could read it for themselves, Director Pushkar said she didn't have them. Then she continued and read the full N-word several times, a word I've known better than to say, sing, or read aloud since I was a child. I have discussed this word's complex history with my kids and how highly offensive and harmful it is, especially when said by a non-Black person. Yet, Director Pushkar read this word aloud without sharing any context of the memoir itself. Why? Sensationalism? Feigned outrage? Not caring that it could be hurtful to Black families in Francis Howell. I certainly do not condone using this word in any context, but after the meeting, I wondered how the word was used in the story, so I checked out the book on Libby and I read it. There's not enough time to describe the whole plot, and Harry just did too, but it's a memory of the author's childhood, which was tough. Her family moved around often, bouncing from state to state, often to escape legal matters. My teacher lens immediately noticed that her whole family had brilliant minds. The parents and the kids were very gifted, although not identified. But the parents were neglectful, and their dad was an alcoholic who was very angry and destructive, and the kids often had to fend for themselves in unsafe situations. Despite a dysfunctional childhood, 3 of the 4 children were resilient and used their talents to leave West Virginia and move to New York, finding success. So how is the N-word used in The Glass Castle? About halfway through the memoir, the word is used several times, not by Jeanette, the author, but by 2 of her relatives, her creepy uncle and her mean grandmother. The book is set in the 1960s, and Jeanette befriends her former bully, who's a Black girl. Jeanette asks her uncle for a ride to her friend's house, and the uncle uses the N-word as a slur towards her friend. Then Jeanette's grandmother uses it several more times, again to describe the friend. Here Jeanette stands up to her grandmother, yelling at her, emphasizing that her parents have told her never to use the N-word and to treat everyone equally. It's absolutely clear in this book that using the N-word is wrong. Context matters, and that's what Director Pushkar failed to mention. Literature serves as both a mirror and a window. Students experiencing hardship and trauma might relate to Jeanette, a mirror, but others without childhood trauma might read the awful situations and experience empathy, a window. Is my opinion about the book and its use of the N-word the only one or the right one? Might I change my thoughts based on the perspectives of others? Maybe, absolutely. Policy 6241 outlines the challenged materials procedures, allowing for conversation about books and giving people from different backgrounds a chance to share their interpretations, the critical analysis piece. Through listening, my viewpoints could be challenged or reinforced. When we stop stoking division in our community, we can open our hearts and minds. I urge everyone to read the books, listen to other people's lived experiences, and approach things you don't understand with curiosity and empathy. Let's focus on things that matter and directly provide support to students without causing harm.
Thank you. Up next is Jamie Martin.
Hello. I'm holding a book called The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. It's a favorite in our family, and there is some content that you might find inappropriate. The Herdman children smoke and swear and steal from other kids and even beat them up. But every year, this book makes me cry, because in the end, it's the Herdmans who have nothing, who give up their Christmas ham for an idea bigger than themselves and remind an entire community what actually makes their holiday season sacred. I'm also holding a list from 2021 that only I would keep, one shared by a parent at a board meeting. I saved it because I was surprised to see some of the books had no graphic content at all. This one was about Greta Thunberg. And now we have a new list of 100 challenged titles in our district, including 2 Toni Morrison titles and Judy Blume's Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. While we can all agree that that graphic content can be damaging when children are exposed too early or without context. These lists often come from political organizations like Moms for Liberty or Turning Point USA, whose main concern isn't inappropriate content, but ideas that make some adults uncomfortable. Now, when it comes to education, overprotecting children from ideas can backfire because it denies them perspective and critical thinking opportunities. Last month, Director Pushkar demonstrated exactly how book challenges go too far when she read the N-word aloud in our board meeting. In historical context, this word represents some of the worst acts humans are capable of. So when students read historical fiction in the classroom, educators like myself handle this language with much care and explain that the N-word is still a powerful and dangerous word, and that teachers will not read it aloud in class. But Director Pushkar, you offered neither context nor care. Instead, you flung sexual violence and racial slurs for shock value even after being cautioned. Our community froze. No one called point of order or made clear that your demonstration was not welcome. But silence is hurtful, so I'll say now what should have been said that night. Shame on you. If an adult in your position does not know better.
Pause the time. I understand we are elected officials. They can share their opinions about us.
That was civil and respectful.
Again.
I have ruled that this is allowed for somebody to criticize what we do as a member of the board.
Thank you.
All 7 of us you can criticize.
Thank you. Again, shame on you. If an adult in your position doesn't know better, it is because you refuse to know better. And Francis Howell is not a place where you can hurl this language without consequence. Board, this is not the first time Director Pushkar has behaved egregiously. She has violated the privacy of students with disabilities, harassed staff, spent unauthorized funds, and threatened students.
Pause again.
That is an untrue statement and not allowable under free speech.
It is a reference to a past board meeting, and that this person has an ability to continue her speech. You have free speech to share your
We can have
perspective.
lawyers come and talk about it.
Thank you. Past board meetings and radio shows, so careful there. Her disregard for the safety and dignity of our community has become more dangerous than the content of any book. I ask that you formally strip her of her community duties and make it obvious. Send the message that Francis Howell will not tolerate this behavior from any student, staff, or leader. Thank you.
Up next is Grayson Jostes.
Good evening. Happy holidays. I got a few things to say, so here they are. First, I support policy 340 because if people who worked here, whether it's a teacher, a staff member, and yes, a board member, say negative and hurtful things about our district, staff, teachers, students, and especially our librarians, they need to suffer the consequences of their actions, whether it's on social media, interviews, and podcasts, or radio stations. People can just come to work and then love coming to work and say negative things after their shift is done. For many years, I've seen a couple of board members, past and present, doing this even at the last board meeting when a racial slur was said by a non-black person was spoken. I feel that if people don't like working the job or a district, then it's their choice to leave. But if this person continues working here and then saying negative things about their work and not getting away with it, then that's a problem. Vote yes on policy 340. As for the book fiasco, I find it laughable that a board member thinks that real-life issues in parts of a book should be banned in high school level libraries when real-life issues are already happening all around us, whether it's on TV, movies, news, and yes, social media. Banning books, or this board member calls them censoring, won't help their cause. I trust the system with challenging books, even though some don't like that system that's in place. Fun fact, there is a memorial in Berlin, Germany, where you look at a square glass on the ground and you'll see a white room with empty shelves that can fit 20,000 books. That memorial was when the Nazis burned those books of knowledge for the people of Germany to read, but will never do to a person or a group's ignorance of different views and knowledge of real-world issues. Third, there's been a book that's been questioned viral. The fight against AIDS in America shouldn't be banned because the book is part of our U.S. history, and it should belong both middle and high school level since the book's target audience is young ages 12 plus. If this book gets banned, what's next? The book of history of COVID? Stop erasing American history by cherry picking the books you dislike. Students in middle school and high school level need to learn the full history of America, instead of a cherry-picked version of which a certain race, religion, and sexual orientation wants to have it their way. Plus, diseases like AIDS are already talked about in health and sex ed classes, both levels and grades, when I was a student. Why ban a book like this? Because it started in the gay community and African women in Africa. And the only way to get AIDS is either by transferring blood in surgery or sexual intercourse. Protect books like Viral. I hope every teacher, staff, student, and board member have a safe winter break, and I hope everyone have a happy holidays and a great and a fabulous New Year. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next is Christy McLaughlin.
Good evening. Congratulations, Mr. Delaney. So happy you're here. I want to speak about something that happened in a recent board meeting, something that has continued to weigh on many in our community. During the meeting, while reading from the Glass Castle, a board member came across the N-word. She paused, she hesitated, and then she said it out loud. That moment matters, because even with the hesitation, the choice was still made. This occurred in a public setting with Black community members present, and the recording now lives on YouTube, where any child of any age can access it without warning or context. And regardless of intent, the impact was real. Let me be clear, The Glass Castle is not the problem. It is a meaningful and educational book for high school students, one that helps us understand a time in American history when dehumanizing language was normalized. The issue is not the literature. It is the decision to vocalize a word that has been used for centuries to harm, degrade, and terrorize Black people. Educators everywhere understand this distinction. Many choose not to say the word aloud, even when reading directly from text, because they know it carries trauma. They know it can alienate students and silence voices. They know that once spoken, the harm cannot be undone. When the word was spoken in this room, despite the hesitation, it still caused harm. It still reopened wounds. It still made people of color feel unsafe and unseen in a space that should honor their dignity. As board members, leaders who set the tone and expectations for our district, you hold a responsibility to model cultural awareness, respect, and care when dealing with sensitive material. So tonight, I'm asking for action. I'm in agreement with Jamie and to believe this board member should be stripped of her committee roles and censured. I'm also asking for training that helps board members understand the weight of their words. And I'm asking for the official meeting video to include a content warning so families can make informed choices before viewing. This is not about punishment. This is about accountability, healing, and doing better going forward. Choosing not to say that word is not censorship. It's dignity, it's empathy, and it's the kind of leadership our students and our community deserve. Thank you.
Up next is Marissa Polson.
Hello, happy holidays. Congratulations, and lucky to us. Thank you so much. We're very excited to have you. Drew, I'm so excited to see you here. I've known Andrew when he was Andrew. He grew up a street over. This is awesome, buddy. It's so cool to see you doing, we obviously have this stuff too. But I'm Marissa Polzine. I'm a parent of 3 in the district. I've been a resident for 17 years. I agree with what other patrons have said tonight. I'm here to speak specifically about Director Pushkar's egregious use of the N-word last week. She chose to read that passage from a book she did not have in front of her and could not cite the page numbers for. That leads me to believe that she has not actually read the book, that the excerpt was probably handed to her without any verification or context. After a lengthy debate over whether she should be allowed to read it, she moved forward without providing any context. She said the N-word out loud. I have sat in this room many times while Black community members and students have stood here courageously and pleaded with Ms. Pushkar to not rescind the resolution against racism and discrimination. They shared deeply personal stories about how harmful that word is specifically to them and their children. Despite hearing those testimonies firsthand, she still chose to say that out loud. I've also sat here as Black parents and students explain how vital it is for all students to learn Black history and literature. They have repeatedly told us how representation in curriculum, books, and classroom discussions impacts their sense of belonging and safety. And again, despite having heard all of that as we all sat here for the past few years, she chose to say the N-word out loud. For years, Ms. Pushkar and her supporters have raised objections to numerous books, and time after time, they pull out single sentences or isolated passages and label them offensive, while insisting that the larger context does not matter. But as we've heard tonight, context absolutely matters. It always matters. It matters in literature, it matters in education, and it matters in leadership. So I'd like to offer a thought experiment. So imagine how unfair, and it would be wildly unfair, if someone took a short clip of what was said, just with that sentence or just that word, and used it against you in the campaign trail. Imagine someone circulating a video of you saying that word. Would context matter? That's exactly what's happening here with these books. Context is being discarded when it's convenient, but suddenly it might become essential if it's about an adult. Director Pushkar believes a single out-of-context sentence is enough to condemn an award-winning book. I disagree. Patrons disagree. Context is important. And I will echo Jamie. I believe that Director Pushkar should be censured and removed from her committee roles. So I thank you. Everyone have a great holiday.
Up next is Amy Guion. Oh, no, excuse me, Amy Easterling is first.
I gotta put my glasses on. It sucks to be old. Hi, my name is Amy Easterling. I have lived in the Francis Howell District for over 20 years and proudly graduated 2 kiddos, one from Francis Howell Central and one from Francis Howell North. Tonight, I'd like to talk to you about leadership and what I expect from those elected to serve our community. Director Pushkar, in my opinion, you have continued to let us down by confusing political theater with the responsibility of leadership. Interestingly, you may disagree with this, but you and I share a Christian faith. So I'd actually like to read 2 short scriptures that guide my own leadership, if you'll indulge me. Philippians 2, chapter 2, verses 3 through 4 instructs, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interest, but each of you to the interest of others." And James chapter 3, verses 16 to 17 reminds us, and this is one of my favorites, "For where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you find disorder and every evil practice. But the wisdom that comes from heaven is pure, peace-loving, considerate, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere." In my own professional life, I've found that humility and sincerity inspire teams to follow. And as Board of Education directors, your team is our teachers, our staff, our students, our parents, and our community. And I will acknowledge that's a heavy responsibility. And you're never going to be able to please everyone. But at the very least, at the bottom, you need to at least avoid actively harming those you serve. Jane, you have failed. When you speak about vulnerable children on the radio, you fail. When you spend unauthorized funds for politically motivated consultants, you fail.
Point of order.
Oh, wait.
It's not a fact.
There is a backstory to that, and without getting into the pieces, feel free during your board comments to correct if you want to correct.
And when you turn public comments into theater, you fail. And when you use racial slurs for shock value, you fail, big time. Leadership requires humility, accountability, and respect. Jane Pushkar, your actions show either a lack of understanding or a disregard for that responsibility. I'd like to join some of my fellow patrons in saying that I urge the rest of the board to censure Director Pushkar and remove her from her responsibilities. Thank you.
Up next is Amy Guion. She is not here. Up next is Grant Killian.
Good evening, board. It's good to be back. It's nice to see everybody. I know I've not been around lately. College has kept me pretty busy, but the proposal for tonight, the 0340 proposal, did catch my attention. I'd like to just give a few things for the board to consider, guided by the discussion at the first reading. I have a lot to say, so I'm going to talk like a burning house. First off, a question was raised about definitions. There was a lot of discussion about some of the words and how they may be ambiguous Certainly, some more or less than others. As Director Olelke pointed out, inaccurate isn't super ambiguous, but other words like rude or belittling can mean drastically different things to different people. Sure, there's a lot more agreement than disagreement on those terms in our society, but the edge cases are what's going to matter here. Because keep in mind, if it's being brought in this process, then that means at least one member of the board did think it was okay. You know, I think there's going to be some discussion tonight about what these terms mean. Some examples might be hypothetical, others not so much. I think it'll be clear that there is significant ambiguity and disagreement. That being said, Director Olelke, you also said that if there is a question about the definition, then the board can come together to have that discussion. That could be trouble. You know, the definitions of words in a rule are as much a part of the rule as the words themselves. So if the board were to meet post hoc to decide the definition of a word and if certain conduct qualified, then the board would basically be making an ex post facto rule, making a rule, then applying it retroactively. And that's unfair because not only does it mean nobody knows really what the rule is, but it puts an immense chilling effect on everything a board member might say. Director Olelke, you also talked about model behaviors and core values, how they could guide those definitions. The issue is that's not in the proposal. So while that might be the intention now, that might not be clear 10, 15 years in the future. As Director Owens said, this is for future board members as well. Director Owens, you also mentioned guiding those definitions as anything detrimental to the district. Well, the voters elect you guys based on what they believe and what you campaign on being beneficial or detrimental to the district. And we see disagreement on that all the time. So that would be a very broad standard. And again, circling back to Director Olelke's suggestion, that's not written in the policy. Director Harmon, you raised two concerns that tie into each other. One, that this might be in response to specific occurrences, and two, that this might subject the board to groupthink. Regardless of if this is the result of a specific occurrence, something to think about is that when board members campaign on doing and saying certain things, and then when they are elected proceed to do and say those things, they are reflecting the will of the voters. So while a board member might disagree with those things, the proper course of action would be the campaign process and voting in an election. All board members are required to be residents of the district, so you all have a vote in school board elections. These issues can continue to be decided at school board elections rather than board meetings. Director Ponder, you talked about maybe requiring a supermajority vote. The issue with that is the state statute specifically gives the power of the board to a majority of the board. That's 1.050 RISMO. So with this, if you require a greater threshold, you're unlawfully binding the hands of a future board. So that's all I have. Super appreciative of the work you guys do for the district. Super appreciative of the Francis Howell education I got when I showed up for my first day at the University of Tennessee. They said, "Oh, you're our guy from Francis Howell, right?" They were really excited about that. I think it's a testament to the great things that happen in the district, especially the great stuff that I got at my high school. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. And our last speaker is Jarrett Pillsbury.
Tall, so give me a second here. Good evening, board. So I'll start with just a comment. Director Pushkar, whether you know it or not, you've been given a gift tonight, that of feedback. And now that you know better, I think I speak for the majority of my community in saying do better. Now to my comments. It's that time of the year when announcements are made and we learn who's throwing their name in the hat for FHSD Board of Education once again. For the uninitiated, please allow me to take you through it. We have sitting board member Jane Pushkar. If you'll recall, Director Pushkar has made quite a name for herself these past 3 years, going after patrons and students, going so far as to call for an investigation of a 15-year-old, and to call a parent's workplace. Threatening
Point
law.
of order, that's not true.
Reclaiming my time.
Pause. I will recognize that you have mentioned that you have a different opinion on that matter. Thank you for sharing that. Continue on with your...
Thank you, President Blair. Going so far as to call for an investigation of a 15-year-old and to call a parent's workplace. Threatening lawsuits against those who would disagree with her, blocking patrons from communications, and most recently reading a racist slur into the board meeting minutes. We have Lauren Greenwood, aka School Watch List, aka Amber June online, who has waged a one-woman hate campaign toward teachers and counselors in the district over optional reading assignments and use of pronouns in an email signature. Mrs. Greenwood has gone so far as to dox a teacher online and spends much of her time going on Extreme Talk Radio, blasting our educators, calling for book bans in our schools. It seems Mrs. Greenwood would like to make the choice for everyone what is or isn't appropriate for your children to read. And finally, we have David Jaworski, who took to the podium to express his deep concern over bathroom policy. Book bans and bathroom bills, that's what we have to look forward to, folks. At no time have any of these candidates indicated any focus on robust funding for our district, making sure we attract and retain top teaching talent, or improving district morale for our educators. And if I'm being honest, there's kind of an anti-teacher leaning there, in my personal opinion. We can have that, or we can have serious, well-qualified people. I'd encourage you to vote for Jason Adams, Sarah Dillard, and Kevin McGuire, 3 candidates with deep ties to the district, considerable experience, and all who want students to continue to have the opportunities they or their children have experienced. April is coming, and you get to decide the kind of district you want for Francis Howell. One all about book bans, kitty litter, bathroom ridiculous hysteria, and bullying, or a destination district where people serious about education go to learn, teach, and be part of a community that strives to do better for everyone. The choice is yours. Thank you.
Up next is FHEA.
Good evening. My name is Francine Hill, and I am the president of FHEA. We want to congratulate Superintendent Delaney on his appointment to the position of superintendent. FHEA looks forward to having a collaborative working relationship during his time in this new position. We also want to congratulate all the new and renewing National Board Certified teachers in our district. This is no small accomplishment and requires much time and expense to obtain the certification. FHEA wants to thank everyone that is interested in running for school board. We know this position requires a great deal of time and energy. We look forward to talking to any of the candidates that wish to speak with FHEA. Francis Howell is very lucky to have wonderful parents and great PTOs. We know what a busy time of year this is for everyone, and the appreciation shown by our PTOs has been wonderful. FHEA was impressed with how the staff, parents, and community pulled together to make sure all our students made it home safely during our last snowstorm. It was a great example of teamwork. Thank you to the staff that stayed to make sure our students were taken care of, and all the parents that braved the weather to pick their children up early. Their patience was appreciated as we worked to dismiss students safely. FHEA hopes everyone's celebrations over these winter holidays are fun and relaxing. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next is FISPA.
I'm not. Thank you, President Blair. Good evening. Well, I lost the bet last month, and so now I'm here reading the speech as the FISPA Vice President of Interpreters. My name is Tracy Edelin, and I've been an educational interpreter for 31 years, a mom for 27 years to two amazing Francis Howell North graduates, a licensed and certified ASL interpreter for Francis Howell School District for 18 years now. They said to introduce myself. We are thrilled to congratulate Mr. Mark Delaney on his appointment as superintendent through the 2028 school year. In his previous role as director of HR, Mr. Delaney worked closely with FISPA to recruit and retain our valued support staff. We look forward to continuing this important partnership under his leadership. And now we're going to switch to something completely different. We understand that the odor has returned at FHN. No. We hope that the district is actively monitoring this situation and will continue working with district staff to address this concern. On December 1st, the St. Louis area experienced a sudden midday snowstorm, making travel hazardous. Staff across the district acted quickly to ensure students got home safely. We sincerely thank the entire Francis Howell community for your dedication and teamwork during this challenging weather event. I am a fan of snow days. A special thanks to our maintenance, grounds, and custodial teams for coming in the following day to clear parking lots and sidewalks, allowing school to resume smoothly on Wednesday. As the first semester comes to a close, we wish our students the best of luck on finals next week. We hope everyone enjoys a restful and rejuvenating winter break.
Thank you. I appreciate her calling out that your presence here, Mr. Delaney, and the smell of Francis Howell North are not connected. That's
not synonymous?
Yeah.
It's not your fault.
Again, it's
Unrelated.
yeah,
Unless it is.
it's an important topic, and I appreciate all the time you've given towards it. I just laughed because she was making a comment that you're connected to it. So I appreciate calling that out, and we'll continue to look forward improvement in that area. So, board, we have a motion to approve the consent agenda for December 11th, 2025 as presented.
So moved.
Director Pushkar, second by Director Ponder. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Motion passes. Board, do we have a motion to accept the financial audit as presented?
So moved.
Director Pushkar, second by Director Ponder. Deputy Superintendent of Finance and Operations, Dr. Amy St. John, will introduce Ms. Jacquin, and then we'll have conversations after that.
Yes, thank you very much. I would like to introduce Christina Jacquin, the Senior Manager for Hockham, when she will present our annual financial audit for the 24-25 fiscal year. This is a normal process in a school district that must be completed and filed by December 31st, and I will turn it over to her to perform the presentation.
Good evening, members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to briefly present the results of the 2025 audit to you this evening. As mentioned, my name is Christina Jacquin, and I am the Assurance Senior Manager for HONCAM. We have issued the following reports as a result of our audit. The first is the financial statements, which includes the required state reporting, and we have also issued a governance letter, which includes a report to those charged with governance and a report on internal control. After some brief comments, I'd be happy to answer any questions the board may have. The first report we issued is the financial statements that were prepared by management on the modified cash basis of accounting. We performed an audit of the district's financial statements for the year ended June 30th, 2025. Our responsibility as the independent auditor is to plan and perform our audit procedures to be able to determine that the financial statements are free of material misstatement. On page 1 of those financial statements, you will find our auditor's report. And it is our opinion for June 30th, 2025, that the district's financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects on the modified cash basis of accounting. This is otherwise known as a clean opinion, similar to those obtained in prior years. In addition to the audit of the financial statements, DESE requires us to perform certain procedures over certain state requirements. These results are presented in the Schedule of Selected Statistics section of our report, which includes areas such as attendance and transportation. We did not identify any instances of non-compliance related to the state compliance testing that we are required to report. We did note a few internal recommendations for improving attendance and transportation reporting. Regarding the federal programs, a little bit of a change in the presentation tonight regarding the federal programs audit. As you know, since the school district receives more than $750,000 in federal awards, a single audit is required to be performed, as is historically been done. Normally, we are able to finalize and issue the single audit portion of the district's financial statements together as one audit. And I'd like to provide some background as to why that is not happening tonight. Every year, the Office of Management and Budget issues a document called the Compliance Supplement. This document provides guidance for auditing federal programs and is essential for performing a single audit. It typically comes out in the spring or early summer of every year and applies to audits of entities with June 30 year ends and forward. For 2025, the Compliance Supplement was significantly delayed, and it was only recently issued in late November, so it's very, very late. Because of this timing, we were not able to incorporate it into the audit report for tonight's board meeting. Auditors are required by both the Office of Management and Budget and the American Institute of Certified Public Accounting Standards to use the final compliance supplement when performing single audits. Therefore, we were prohibited from issuing the single audit report because the compliance supplement wasn't out. DESE has acknowledged this delay and has extended the deadline for submitting the single audit to January 31st. We have completed all the other audit procedures required to the extent possible, and the remaining work relates solely to the single audit requirements. We will finalize and issue the single audit as soon as those procedures are complete and in conformity with the January 31st deadline. The second report we issued is a report to those charged with governance, which contains required communications from auditors to the board at the conclusion of an audit. This communication indicates that management is responsible for the selection and use of appropriate accounting policies, which are described in Note 1 to the financial statements. That we did not encounter any significant difficulties in dealing with management during our audit, and that there were no disagreements with management. That there were no uncorrected misstatements, and that management has provided us with representations related to our audit. I would like to thank Dr. St. John and Ms. Walsh and their staff for all the assistance extended to us during the current year, and I welcome any questions you may have at this time.
Thank you. Board, any questions? The official term is that the audit went through and everything was free and clear, or what's the correct use of phrase for us to understand that we passed the annual audit?
So the opinion on the financial statements is that they are fairly presented. So that's the clean opinion, fairly presented financial statements, and that there were no findings that were reported.
I appreciate that. I just want people who are watching, not only here in person, but watching us online, that we've been through the annual audit process and came past clear, clean, and all things appropriate.
Yes, the opinion that was issued is the highest level of opinion that can be issued in this type of audit.
Thank you for that clarification. Anything else, board? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Motion passes. Thank you for your time today.
Very much.
Board, do we have a motion to approve the financial report as presented? Director Pushkar? Director Harmon? Dr. St. John?
Yes, that's me. As we are pulling up the presentation, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to share an update for the 25-26 school budget as it relates to Strategic Plan Pillar 3. In an effort to keep both the Board of Education and the community informed in a timely manner, each month we share an update in the areas of the operating budget, including any amendments as they are necessary, the bond financials, self-insurance, revenues, and expenditures, and each month a legislative update as provided to our patrons. With this first slide, in regards to budget amendments and transfers, we do not have any for this month. That was something that we did bring to you last month, as you might remember, as the numbers were coming in from the fall, but this time of year we do not have any midway through the budget. You will see we have a balanced budget that is still being presented, and each month we do review all revenues and expenditures budget to actual, and we ensure that they are on track as to what we expect. This time of year you might see purchase services or supplies to be running a little bit higher in percentage, and that's just simply because as you open up the school year, you get those things going to provide those for the students in the current school year. This is a familiar slide to you, and I'll guide your eye to read this chart focused on the green column. This is the 25-26 school year projection based upon the board-approved budget. Each month, we continue to track both those revenues and expenditures to ensure that we are meeting the projections. As we review the FY26 trajectory, I will remind you that the assumptions for those projections are beyond to the right and into the next 3 school years. These projections are through the school year 28-29. And with those, the called out box to the right indicates that we have an assumption of 2% increase in revenues for our non-assessed years. And in the reassessed year, we show a 3% increase in state revenue. We are showing that currently as a flat, no change for a conservative approach. And within the expenditures, we show a 3% increase for overall salaries in sum total, and an 8% increase for benefits, as well as a capital transfer of $5 million each year. That brings our fund balance for the current year that we are in at 27.59%. This is the same information in a graphical form. As you can see, this is just to show you with those conservative revenue assumptions that and the slightly higher on the expenditure side without any course correction. This is what the trajectory would show in 3 years as a 14.35% balance. And as a reminder, board policy asks us to keep it at 15% and above. Each of those years we would continue to talk about and recalibrate as we go. Not much change with bond financials this month. You heard from Saloon Stutzer last month in regards to moving into phase 2 of the bond funds. This still indicates we have just over $600,000 in remaining funds for those initial bond financials. At this time, they will remain unallocated or unnamed until we finalize the phase 2, and we'll see if there are any unexpected expenses through that. This is our self-insurance fund financials. This is something that we are reviewing as the Employee Insurance Committee each month in great detail. This is the rolled up version. I would draw your eye to the top where it indicates the total revenue that's coming in, and you'll notice that that total revenue is down by 20%. And the line below it is the total expenditure, and that has increased by 13% as compared to the year prior. This is something that we are definitely looking into and monitoring each of the expenditures. We're working hand in hand with MMA, which is our health insurance, I was going to say cooperative, but that's not the right word. I've lost the track.
Broker?
Consultant, thank you. Just lost the word there for a second. Working with them each month to indicate what those increased expenses are and what is causing some of that. We're also pairing this with a wellness committee to reboot and work proactively against some of our top medical areas that we are seeing in our claims. And those areas are inflammation, diabetes, and cancer. And we're looking for proactive ways to work through that. And those are through funds that are provided directly to the district by Cigna. So it's not additional cost to the district to work through that. Next, I'll provide the legislative update. We have seen the language that will go on the ballot for April 2026 for Senate Bill 3. At the time of this presentation, it has not been named. We know it will receive a name, and so we'll look forward to seeing what that will look like in the coming weeks, probably in January. I will remind you that Senate Bill 3 is intending to freeze property taxes, with Francis Howell School District relying on those local taxes in our budget at about 75% of our revenue. We are estimating a $4 million loss to the school district should that ballot measure go through. In addition to that, I would give you an update that just came in before this and is not on the slide, and that is the outcome of the senior tax freeze, which was Senate Bill 190. We will be receiving those calculations from our county. Excuse me. That is a detriment to the district, or a negative $1,033,387, meaning the senior tax credit will lower the amount of local taxes that we will receive. And that is a glimpse of what Senate Bill 3 would look like. Just wanted to be able to provide you that update. To the right of this slide are 3 House joint resolutions that have been combined to work towards eliminating personal property tax, and that would be a cost detriment to the district of $20 million in one swoop, in one time. That would be effective January 1st of 2028. Those are things that we are continuing to monitor as the next legislative session opens up. Continuing to connect back to the Senate Bill 3 update, we know that there have been lawsuits that have been filed. No additional information on that, except for in October of 2025, we know that the Missouri House Special Interim Committee on Property Tax Reform is now also looking at considering legislation to silo property into subclasses of residential, commercial, and agricultural for tax purpose, aiming to address issues caused by rapidly rising home values. And so again, it's just something that's continuing to look at tax reform, and we're trying to keep our eyes on that and making sure that we understand how that might connect back to the work and when we're calculating our budget for the upcoming years. And I also wanted to provide to you School Funding Modernization Task Force. So this is our state funding that comes that is related to what's called the state adequacy target. Governor Kehoe brought together a task force, and they have met 4 times, and it will be a final decision a year from now. So it's 1 year into the process, and it will be delivered to his desk in December of 2026. There are 3 sub-areas: funding targets work group, a student counts work group, and a local effort work group. And so what it's looking to do, we have a current calculation for the state of Missouri that is 20 years old. And so you might expect some of the ways that it's calculated may need to be brought forward into a more modern thinking. things like the dollar value modifier, which is intended to, across the state, equalize how the cost of living is different for each of the school district areas and how the money gets allocated. In addition to that, they're looking at exploring concentrating the weights of students and expanding special education counts, updating the weights for our ELL students, gifted, homeless, and CTE students, and recalculating how that is working. And then finally, in the local effort work group, that is connected back to a district like ours that is 75% locally funded and how that affects the funding formula from the state. So where we do not receive a full state or student adequacy target due to our increased local effort, and they're looking to see if that is something that would remain in the formula moving forward. Finally, the next 3 slides just show the same chart that I mentioned earlier with the effect of the 3 things that we know and that we are watching. So the first effect is that Senate Bill 3 and what that would do to the fund balance percentage. And as you can see, if we were removing 4 million, 8 million, and then 10 million over the next 3 years, this is the effect it would have on the budget. So it would take us down to a 6.53 fund balance. On the next one, if I layer on the House Joint Resolution effect, and that would be removing $20 million in the school year of 28-29, you would see that we would be at a negative. And again, that's keeping those same assumptions of still providing increases in salaries and increases in benefits, and then decreasing the amount of funding that we would be receiving. And then finally, as we have talked about, as possible on the horizon is a debt levy transfer. And so that would be putting money back into the operating. And so I wanted to see what that effect would have. And so that would be adding 5.5 million into, so that would be an April 27 ballot measure that would be in effect in the school year 27-28. And you can see that it does give some relief. And again, these are making assumptions that these things would be occurring. We're just modeling some of the things that might be happening in the future. And then I'll end with the things that are going on in this area and some that I've already touched on with the Wellness Committee, the Employee Insurance Committee, as well as finalizing our audit tonight. The state audit, which should be coming to an end next month, is what we are hearing from that group. We're also talking about planning for the next school year for tuition rates, and that is information that would come to you in January as well for early childhood. In the news, you may have heard of some of the things that are going on with the Central County Fire and Rescue Firehouse that is at Jung Station Road. And so we're in conversation with some of the work that they have presented to the City of St. Peters and to their planning and zoning. And then, as I mentioned, legislative updates, and our team met with House Representative Scott Miller this week, and really just trying to build relationships with our legislators so that they know who to call if they have a question about education or funding. And then a look ahead is the Facility Master Plan final report and presentation will also be brought to you in January, as well as the FY27 staffing report. And then Mr. Gowan and I are continuing to walk through what would look like technology over the next 5 years, and we plan to present that in February. And with that, I would see if you have any questions.
Any questions, board?
Yes, Ms. St. John.
Yes.
A comment first. You're just a bundle of good news. I have to hand it to you for that.
I smiled the whole time.
You did. You absolutely did. I appreciate all of the information. I wanted to go back to the medical insurance fund where you state that, I think it's slide 3, where you state that the revenue is going down by 20%. I'm not sure, forgive me if I missed it, I'm not sure what justification we have for making that assumption. I assume that's an assumption.
That is just the money that was guesstimating from what they say this is how much you should be paying in your premium is coming in at a lower rate than it was a year ago, and we have not put any money into the account, where at this time last year we had already put $4 million from the operating budget.
So that would go away if we transferred?
You would add, right, it would balance back out.
Yeah, okay, I get it. And I understand the catastrophic
Yes.
expenditures. It seems like they come and go. I've been here for a few years before. It was really bad, and then it got better, and now it seems like it's going back up again.
Very high.
Unfortunately.
Yes. Cost of medical care is at the all-time high.
I just have one quick question. Talking about the modernization task force, do we have any exposure into that, or do we
I watch.
I know you're watching.
Right.
But are there do we know who's involved?
Oh yes,
in it? Okay.
yes. I have direct access to a couple people that are on it. I touch base with them,
Okay.
and this is just me personally. Mr. Delaney is also connecting to it. We get a weekly update from. We have a bulletin that gives us weekly updates on that information, but all of their information is online, and I watch them, or if I'm not able to watch it when it's happening live stream.
Okay, that's helpful. There's such.
And that's why I really wanted to bring this tonight,
Yeah.
because it's really rounding out sort of that first big round of meetings that they've had, the fourth meeting. And so I just wanted to kind of give you all an idea of the three buckets that they're working on.
But the legislation is likely happening before this would be done. So that.
That's the mystery of it,
seems
right?
a little out of order.
Which is also why I wanted to draw your attention that there's a local effort work group, because the connection there seems to be a natural thing that one would have to connect to the other.
Yeah.
It's not been fully revealed, but definitely something I'm paying attention to.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Each month I've been making a small statement because the admin cannot give persuasive information or try to get people to vote one way or another on a ballot initiative. Your job is to inform, but board members are allowed to speak persuasively about different ballot initiatives. And because we have on average around 800 people who watch us online, those of you who are here today, Senate Bill 3 is just as scary as the numbers would say. We spend a lot of time trying to make sure $10,000 here, $25,000 there, spent completely efficiently. This would take away $4 million in year one, and in 5 years, $20 million. This is not a red issue, it's not a blue issue, it is a green issue. And as we get closer to April, we'll be saying this a little bit louder and in longer and in different ways. But Senate Bill 3 has the possibility of devastating how we fund our programs, our staff. It is in many ways wrong. There's no backup options that are being presented regarding how do you fund schools. In other words, we'll do this, but as long as we do this, we're fine. None of that's being presented. And so I just want everybody to hear, those of you in here, those of you watching us online, to pay very close attention to Senate Bill 3 and to be prepared to vote against it, and to tell everyone, if you care about the health insurance programs we give to our staff, if you care about the quality of our facilities, the 3 million square feet that we have to take care of on a routine basis, 2,000 plus employees. I just want to say that clearly. Senate Bill 3 has a large amount of hazard. It's not a red thing, it's not a blue thing, it's a green thing, and we should be ready to be prepared to fight against it because it affects the whole county, and all the county will vote on it in April. So thank you for allowing me to say things that an admin person cannot say. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Board, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Motion passes. Board, do we have a motion to approve the purchases as presented? Director Puskar, followed by Director Ponder. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. And our next agenda item is agenda item for the book Viral. Next on our agenda, we have a book decision pertaining to the title Viral.
Can I make the motion, or?
What is your motion?
You have to read. I want a motion to remove to retain the material without restriction.
Second.
We have a motion to retain the material without restriction. I have a second. So now we will discuss the book Viral. This is being presented to the board based upon policy 6341. It admittedly went to a review committee, but because a review committee did not have quorum at a meeting, the first action on this book comes directly to the board. So there's no review committee who has made an action before this. This is coming before the board for us to decide tonight. So at this point, we'll make an effort to have a balanced amount of people who are sharing. But if anybody wants to share their thoughts on this book, this is the time to do so.
I have a question. Are we following the same question or the same questions that they follow in the regular committee?
We are following the same standards that are listed in everybody's board docs regarding the book challenge.
I'll just make a quick comment. So I was on that, I was the board member that was assigned to that review committee, and we met and we had a quorum, but one person had to call in, and that's not allowed the way the policy is currently written. So talk about that later, but I'd like to amend that because in this day and age feels like we should be allowed to Zoom or something. But anyway, everyone on the committee, for what it's worth, voted to retain without restriction. I read the book. Honestly, was not excited about reading the book, but it was actually really fascinating. Having grown up in the early 90s, I thought it was very educational. I actually learned a lot that I didn't realize. So yeah, I definitely think that this is actually a book that I would recommend people to read, whereas before I was like, why are we viral? What? So.
Is this book only in the high schools?
I think it's middle and...
It's in middle and high school.
On the committee, we took votes on whether or not we wanted to separate middle school from high
That
school.
would be with restrictions.
Yeah, so we're voting on without restriction.
The current motion is without restriction to keep it in its current, the way the librarians recommend.
Yeah, the current motion is to keep it in middle schools and high schools. If this motion fails, then we will go to one of the other two options, whether it's to retain with restriction and to bump it up to high school only, or to remove entirely. So right now we are voting and discussing on retaining it at both the middle school and high school level. That's what's before us. Yeah.
It's in all of them?
It's not in every single middle school, it's just in a few middle schools. And each of these reviews.
It's in all the high schools and a few in middle schools.
I'm not sure how many, it's at the middle school level, it's at the high school level.
I know we had to buy more copies so we could do this book review.
Right.
And I read the book. One of the things that stood out to me was share that in 1996, age was the largest cause of death for men and women, 25 to 44. I think this is history. Personally, my experience is I grew up in a certain version of Christianity, and that version of Christianity led me to use anti-gay slurs to my friends on a repeated basis as we teased about this and that. And it wasn't until going to seminary and sitting next to a man at World AIDS Day named Farley that I realized that the people who I had been vilifying for a long time were not villains. And I did not learn that. I did not allow myself to learn that until I was able to find myself experiencing the empathy for those who went through the AIDS crisis. And I think not only does this give good history, but it could potentially provide a window into some people's experiences and expressions that might be able to change hearts earlier than people like me had their hearts changed. So I appreciated the book viral.
There's a lot of death and, I mean, I know that it's fact. I'm just not sure that the younger minds, the youngest in the middle school, are quite ready to absorb this type of information. I too was around and spent a lot of time in the gay communities and understood what it is, the challenges that they face, and the way that AIDS was treated at that point in time made me believe that nobody deserves to die such a horrible death. And my heart always did go out to them. Fortunately, they've made a lot of headway in treatments and medications, and we now have very long-term survivors, which I'm very happy for. I'm just not sure that the youngest of our young in the middle schools can quite absorb all the death and the dying that goes on in it, and some of the graphic descriptions.
We had a lot of death during COVID too, though. We've had a lot of death during wars. We've had a lot of death throughout our history. And I, as a middle school teacher who teaches these types of issues with compassion and empathy, can tell you that the young students, with their parents' permission, handle these topics very sensitively in most cases.
Right, but that's with a restriction then, because the parents have to give permission.
Which we have already set up here at Francis Howell.
Okay, but it's voted without restriction.
A vote without restriction means to keep it at the middle school and high school level. It does not mean that parents don't have to be notified if their kid wants to see that book. Is that correct?
Is that safeguard in place for this book?
Actually, yeah, because...
Well, hold on, let me ask.
Go ahead.
Mr. Delaney?
I think parents have the ability to observe what their children have checked out. I don't know that there's a restriction parameter that can be put in place in advance of a person checking out.
Right, so to retain without restriction means that there's still opportunity for parents to choose it or not choose it.
I believe so. I might let Mr. Hancock speak a little further about, he works closely with our librarian lead.
And yes, parents can call the lead librarian at the school and make a request that the author or book is not one that they select or check out. In addition to signing up for getting the email of books that students have checked out, they can sign up for that.
Thank you for that clarification.
And just to clarify that, didn't you, I think you said that there was some sort of a time frame to allow for that when the parent signs up, it's 4 weeks or something like that?
I'd have to double check the days, but they have a couple weeks.
Right. For me, this was I went both ways on this one. I on one hand, I in my mind with our children, I really tried to preserve the innocence as long as possible. They're only that innocent for a little while, and to really, it's like, all of the things that we try to go through with our kids that we try to celebrate throughout the years. Christmas is coming up, things like that. For me, it was preserving that innocence as long as possible, and then next thing you know, they're in junior high, and what are they doing? Their hormones are raging. They're finding themselves. They're trying to figure out if they if they like that girl or that boy or whatever it is, and it's part of me. In this book, I was just thinking, like, there's a responsibility that comes along with that. Maybe this book could teach them the responsibility of their possible activities going into the future. And I just thought, how do I manage that conflict with myself? How do I try to do what I can to preserve the innocence of the kids while also making sure that they're educated going forward? And so this was a tough one. It's one of the tougher ones that I've been through, and I too grew up in the 80s and 90s where this was all over. It was everything that everybody was worried. I remember hearing about one of my heroes in Magic Johnson, and that was huge for me. I was like, no, not Magic. What's going to happen to him? And it just got to a point in this book where I was very conflicted. I did not know exactly how I thought about that, even once I got past it. And at this point, I'm very conflicted. So I don't know. I don't know whether to do this without restriction or lean towards the preservation of the innocence of the kids. I just don't know. It's tough.
Anybody else want to make a comment?
I found it interesting, well, I guess I'd forgotten because I grew through a lot more decades than you did.
You did?
Yes, through all those decades when this was happening. And I had forgotten the political aspect of this, where politics and Christianity actually hindered us from coming up with cures and, protocols for helping these people with this disease. And that made me sad. And I think that's a very good lesson for us to remember, that maybe we shouldn't listen to politicians all the time. We need to do the right thing, and health is important. And we shouldn't let politicians run things like they are doing. And it's pertinent to today, when we don't, pay attention to what's hurting us. And we've got to be careful. And kids need to learn this, that, hey, there are many factors in progress and in health and in living life. So the historical value of this book I thought was very important.
Any other comments?
President Blair.
Everybody else has shared.
Mhm.
I thought this was going to be a short discussion and a vote. So, keeping politics out of it, I found it to be just a historical book, retracing steps that I lived through. I remember a lot of the news. I remember, and quite honestly, I thought more people died from it when I saw the graphs. I thought more people died from AIDS. But keeping the politics side of it out of it, so that we can, I see it as a historical book. Data was referenced. It did not. That's just the way I see it. I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
President Blair, our student guest would like to speak, if possible.
Yes.
This book speaks on a very relevant historical issue that haunted our nation in the 90s and 80s. And it's something that, to not allow this book to be in our libraries is kind of sheltering the students of our district from learning about a very important historical event, and the death and disease part of the book is gruesome and hard to read about, but so is the Holocaust, so is the Spanish flu. These major historical events are almost always landmarked by death, and I think that to simply get rid of that book because of that is kind of sheltering our younger generations that might not have lived through that from gaining valuable knowledge on our nation's history that could be very helpful if another event like this ever happens in the future, and it probably is very likely to. So,
Thank you very much. Every board member has said something. Anybody else? You made your point. One point. You good? Okay,
Can I ask one question?
Sure. If you want to ask.
Just to guarantee that kids, the parents of the younger middle school children, have an opportunity to decide whether or not their child should read this material in advance. Just to guarantee.
Yes, they can contact their lead librarian at their school and let them know that they don't want that book.
Are they giving a list to these books, or what? My point is, what if the parent doesn't know the book is in the library? Or how are they told what's in the library?
So online, so on our website, we have a list of ways that they can go onto Destiny and look at the books that are in each of our libraries at their school.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Thank you for the answer. The motion is before us to approve without restriction. Okay. And so we have a first, second. We're going to do a vote. Do you want to do a roll call, or we'll do a roll call vote for this one?
Treasurer Owens. Aye. Director Olkey.
Aye.
Director Pushkar.
Aye.
Director Ponder.
Aye.
Vice President Greider.
Aye.
President Blair.
Aye.
Director Harmon.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay. Board, we have a motion to approve 0340 as presented.
Second.
Who was the first person who said it? Pushkar, and then Ponder. All right. Any discussion, board, on 0340?
So I have a question.
You have a question? Okay.
I do. Can you define disrespect? What is considered disrespectful? Is it disrespectful if a board member walks out during another board member's comments? Is that disrespectful?
Ask the.
I guess not if they have to go to the bathroom.
Is it disrespectful to interrupt another board member's comments?
I'm going to take ownership on that one. The people who are interrupting at last meeting, they should have said point of order and asked me to make a decision whether or not you moved forward or didn't move forward. I'm going to own that one. The people who are interrupting you, they should have said point of order first, and then I would have made the action. But yeah, you can make a claim that interrupting a person over and over again during a board meeting would be considered disrespectful.
My intent, President Blair, was not to make you take ownership of anything. My intent was to kind of, I guess, make everyone here aware that these terms are highly subjectable. And I appreciate you taking ownership, but I don't necessarily agree with you that it was your problem. I don't think it was your problem, however. I think so, belittling, I mean, how do you define these words is my point.
May I speak?
Please.
I think Mr. Delaney addressed this earlier, that all of our policies have words that are not defined in there. Is that correct, Mr. Delaney?
I think if you look at board policies, certainly there are interpretations that individuals could look at words differently. And you know that at times, you know, the board would vote to take action on something. And as one of our patrons commented earlier, as long as there was a majority board vote, that board could determine by majority what their thoughts were on that matter.
So what I'm hearing you say, to also answer Director Pushkar, is that it'll be for the board to interpret what those words mean, and realizing that there's a certain level of subjectivity within that, and any definition usually has a word in it that also needs to be defined too, and sometimes it creates like a little bit of a tautology. But other questions about 0340?
I don't have any questions, just comments, I guess. A variety of directions I could have gone with this, but I'll just share a few thoughts with you. Because we've already established that 10 years from now, this language is going to mean something totally different. So just a few things that bother me. Board members are expected to model respectful communication and avoid remarks that could be reasonably perceived. I guess that depends on the person who's doing the perceiving. What is reasonable? Or inaccurate towards the district. I mean, that one scares me the most. Define inaccurate. We're just coming out of an age where we had wild misinformation. We still have misinformation out there that people misunderstand about COVID. So we didn't have accurate information at the time. We still have people believing in inaccurate information. So who defines what is inaccurate? Is it just because a majority of the board believes at the time that it's accurate or that it's inaccurate? So, okay, and then we walk up, scroll up. The roles of the board, members of the board are to respect and encourage the right of others to hold and express opinions. Should we add a comma there, or should we add a little something there that says, as long as they're in agreement with the majority of the board? Why? I don't want groupthink on a board. I don't want groupthink in a classroom. I don't want groupthink with teachers. I don't care what the majority thinks. You should be able to discuss it openly, and if you don't like somebody's opinion, vote them out. We have April coming up. You have the opportunity. Some of you people out there are clearly wanting to get after somebody, but guess what? Leave it to the voters. Stop trying to put, you're the president, said now all of a sudden you're the bastion of truth? Yeah. So, I mean, and then what about this? And then you could go through what is disrespectful. Is it disrespectful to sit in the back of an audience because you don't agree with me? You can automatically just shout out. You have no sense of decorum. Is that disrespectful?
So I think I'd like to say.
I mean, that is why
I would recommend that the conversation is about board behavior versus audience behavior, since we're talking about the board code of ethics.
So correct. Shame on me. I could have been censored right there because I was disrespectful to somebody that was part of the stakeholders.
I think the idea is.
So I understand what the idea is. I just think it's overstep. And why are we trying to slap somebody down? Why are we so consumed with trying to slap somebody down to think like me or shut up? So I thought about providing or making an amendment, proposing an amendment to this stuff. I'm just not for it, so I'm just going to vote no. I'd rather not just play the game of doing the amendments. That's just why I'm going to vote no.
Thank you for that.
I agree with Ron. I think this is a slippery slope. And I'll give you a hypothetical. He brought up a hypothetical that's, let's say that, Ron is constantly wrong. However, let's say he's wrong about something that we all disagree with.
He's more right than you are.
You're probably right. However, we censure him because he was wrong, because we disagree with him, he was adamant about it, he was disrespectful, whatever that definition is. Next meeting, he does it again, we censure him again. Next meeting, we do it again, and we remove him from his committees. And then we find out 3 months later that he was exactly right. Then what happens? This is a very slippery slope. This is, from everything that I can see, is against Missouri statute. This should not be allowed, because it especially if we're going to, and to the patron that spoke earlier, I looked it up when he said it, and I was wrong. The only way that I would ever be on even remotely on board with this is if every single person in this dais was in agreement. I would never be for this if we had just a simple majority, because then politics can play a part. And I am absolutely against that.
Are you making an amendment to make it a supermajority?
No, because that's against Missouri statute. 1.050, I looked it up. We cannot make a supermajority. We can in this particular instance. Mr. Delaney, can you look that up?
Are there any votes right now that are passed by supermajority? This goes to parliamentarian.
I guess my point to that, President Blair, is this is a very slippery slope, because if we have a simple majority, then politics can play a part if we don't like someone else's politics. And that has no place on the board. This is not our job. And not to mention the fact that, let's say 4 of us don't like what Carol Lee says. Essentially, if we do this, we are silencing the voters that voted for her. And that's not fair to the voters. We are here to represent the people that voted for us in the election. To Ron's point, the fair way to do this is to allow the voters in April to either elect or not elect the people that are running for this board.
Out of curiosity, is there anything that a board member could do that would make the rest of the board want to censor them, instead of waiting for 2 years or 3 years?
I think that's up to the people that elect us. They elected us because, here's the problem with that statement. The problem with that statement is that if we go down that slope and we start censuring people for what they ran on, then we are essentially silencing their votes.
And I will say in here, I do not see anything that says you can be censored for your ideology or for your politics or your political viewpoints.
But what if that becomes disrespectful? What if the points that they're trying to make because you disagree become disrespectful? Then can they be censured? Yes. In this case, yes.
Like I stated at the last meeting, I started thinking about, the code of conduct that students are required to follow, and there are consequences when they break the code of conduct. And I think we should be setting a high bar and setting the example for students that we will hold ourselves accountable also. And school board censure went to the Supreme Court and was upheld that it was a valid thing to do. It's happened in school boards all across America. This isn't a new idea. This has happened in many places. I think, Sarah, you were telling me about, was it Rockwood? Would you talk about that, please?
Yes. 2 years ago, 2022, there was a board member in Rockwood who made some very disparaging comments, I believe, in public about LGBTQIA students and staff, and the board did take action to censure that particular board member.
What were the consequences of the censure?
Removal from committees, and I believe, I don't know all the details, but I know removal from committees was part of it. She eventually resigned due to some other things that she had done in public. Do you know what I'm? Yeah. So, I mean, there was other issues there, but the board did act. The board did take action.
But that doesn't necessarily mean it's correct. Just because someone else has something doesn't mean that we should do it too.
Missouri statute does allow it.
Right. Yeah, we can have that. You want to say something?
I'll just add that, that was Rockwood. I was familiar with that one as well. And I'll just say, I don't think that there are any patrons or anybody in the district that are necessarily electing people to be disrespectful to the district and to belittle the district. I would expect that there are different values and ways they want to see policy, amended and everything. But I don't think anyone's signing up for people to be in the, this district to be in the news for what I would think are all of the wrong reasons. And I do agree that, we already had in the policy belittling, shaming, rude, and disrespectful. Like, that isn't changing in the policy. That was already there. I don't love the whole feeling the need for this. I feel like we should all be adults representing our district and our students and our teachers with dignity and grace and expect adult behaviors and responsible behaviors, but I don't have anything against this. I just wish that it, wasn't a thing. So add that.
Can I say one more thing?
One more thing, and then we'll move on to the vote.
And students don't like consequences either.
I would just say part of it is
Students aren't voted in, though.
correct. For me, part of it is not our job up here as board directors to be instilling consequences on other board directors. So if this is going to happen, then I would suggest that we should amend it from the consequences for violating, or redline the consequences for violating all the way down to committed by the board president, and getting rid of that, because it is not our job to instill consequences on other board members. Censuring them is one thing, making sure that they understand that they did or said something wrong, disrespectful, but to remove the voice of the public that actually voted them in by verbally berating them and with a written warning or public censure or removal from board committees, I think is absolutely irresponsible. Because again, if the shoe's on the other foot and Carolee does it,
I suffer the consequences.
right, but that's my point. It's one thing for us to call each other out and say, hey, you shouldn't have done that, you should. But that's not our job. Our job is to help these folks run this district. And so now we're diving into us not liking something that someone said in a board meeting and censuring them and removing them committees where they're representing the public that voted for them. this is not our job. So I'm going to move to strike the consequences part of it and go from there. Because if we're going to do this, then we need to take that into consideration.
So I hear you say motion. Can you say the motion clearly?
The motion is to strike the part of this policy that says the consequences for violating this section all the way through all the way through number 3, yeah.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to strike the section beginning with the consequences for all the way through removal from board committees. So that is, we have a second. That is now the motion before us. Discussion on the new motion board.
I wish we didn't have to do this.
Me too.
I wish we weren't here. I wish that a simple, ethical, decorum could be maintained. There are some words in this that I am struggling with. I'm not a fan of the word all. But in terms of just Mark's motion, the consequences for violating this section of the policy, there are still some things that I think we need to discuss. I would recommend adding a word. Can I make a motion to add?
We're going to vote on his.
Okay, I don't know. Sorry.
Well, actually, you can do a motion to amend the motion.
Can I amend the motion? Okay.
Yep.
Can
What
I-
is your, wait,
President Blair, can I just do a recap for everyone?
Yeah.
Where we are?
Yeah.
So initially, we had a motion to approve policy 0340 as presented. We received a first and a second. We now have a motion to amend the motion to strike the section consequence number 4, blah, blah, blah. We have a first and second on that. So that is where we're standing right now. So you are asking Director Olkey to amend the amended motion?
Yep.
We didn't vote.
The amended motion? Or?
Well, no, well,
Are we supposed to
you,
vote on it?
no, you can amend the amendment. So we have a motion to amend the amendment. Do we have a second? For some- Well, you want to share?
Okay. The word will be. What if we change that to may be imposed? And allow that to be a case-by-case basis.
The consequences.
Of course.
Allowing it to be a case-by-case basis.
Well, it would be because you would decide.
It's already-
So I think May would be fine.
Yeah. Well, so that is now a motion that's in front of us.
I'm sorry.
Which is weird, because I'm trying to think through because it is such a substantially different motion to what he just said. So I don't think you can amend his motion by.
Yeah.
So we need to vote on his.
We need to vote on
Well,
his first to get rid of that.
Yeah, so I would say, I will rule that that motion currently is like out of order.
Okay.
And if you want to come back to it
Fair
afterwards.
enough.
So
Okay.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Any other questions about the motion, the amendment to the motion to make it become the main motion? So voting, listen, this sounds silly, but a vote for yes for this will make the alternative motion now the main motion.
Correct.
What? Right now, we have a motion to amend the motion to strike section 4. So we have a first and a second. We need to vote on that.
Right.
I don't know what.
Do you want to?
We're voting to
What
strike
happens-
this or not.
What happens is, yeah,
I guess
So that
we'll
we don't-
strike
Correct.
that paragraph.
this is a vote to make this amended motion the main motion.
To
Does that make
remove
sense?
the consequence.
To remove this paragraph.
Okay. So we're voting on.
So we're voting on removing the section from the consequences for violating all the way to removal from board committees.
Okay. And this vote would be just to
Remove,
approve the amended motion.
yes, this is a vote to approve the amended motion to strike that section. So we have a first, a second, any other conversation on this? Nope, okay, so now we will vote on the amended motion. So yes is to amend it and cut it out. and no is to not amend it.
Right.
All right?
Is that right?
Yes is to amend it. You're saying yes because you support Mark's motion, right? So roll call. So a yes is to support Mark's motion. Roll call.
President Blair,
No.
Treasurer Owens,
No.
Director Olkey,
No.
Director Pushkar,
Yes.
Director Harmon,
Aye.
Director Ponder,
Aye.
Vice President Greider,
No.
That motion fails. We now have 0340 in its present form in front of us.
Motion to amend.
Motion to amend, want to
Sorry.
speak?
Okay. I'm struggling with the word all.
Where is the word
Where's it
all?
say?
This includes all forms of communication, whether in or out of board meetings about the Francis Howell School District, about other board members, patrons, staff, and students, or their opinions.
Okay.
I'm struggling with the word all.
Well, this is where you would make a motion, and then somebody will second it, then you can explain what you would like instead.
Okay.
Do you have a motion?
Yeah. Motion to, am I gonna say what I want it to be revised? All right.
Do you want it to be public?
What, quick? Let her.
I'm thinking public, but I was gonna say this may include forms of communication, including, no, I'm wrong. I'm gonna say this includes public forms of communication. Whether in board meetings about the Francis Howell School District, about other board members, patrons, staff, students, and their opinions.
So you want to?
Yeah,
You want to amend by striking the word all and replacing it with public?
yeah.
Okay,
I'm
so
saying,
That is
yes.
the motion. The motion before us is to strike the word all in the first paragraph under number 8 and replace it with the word public. There's a motion. Is there a second? Second. There's a second. Any discussion on changing the word all to public? Okay, if there's no discussion, we will vote on changing that word from all.
Do you want to say it? Okay. How about we say includes publicly accessible forms? This was Drew's recommendation.
We have a motion and a second in front of us with the word public.
There we go. Sorry.
So, yeah, I'd be curious with it, really, if it's a form of communication, it's something that,
I think the difference is, like, you could say
Private.
to a friend or something, or,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
your
If you wanna,
publicly.
you want to talk on the phone, you want to text your friends, you want to email a friend, you go right ahead. But if you're going to go out in public and
But-
start saying,
if a
Right.
friend is not truly a friend,
I'm sure.
well, well, then that's secondhand knowledge. That's a whole, you're in a whole lake, now you're.
That is not
But you're still
public.
able to be censured by this.
Now you got to,
Yeah.
I don't know.
You switch it from all to public.
or if I send you a text, it's a private text.
Yes, yes. Just you and me, Ron.
private.
We have never done that.
Yes, me. No, of course not.
All right, we have before us a motion to change the word all in that particular line on point 8 to the word public. That is the motion. It has been seconded. Any other conversation? No other conversation. We will vote on the Olkey amendment.
I like the sound of that.
The Olkey amendment. All right, roll call. A yes means you want to make the change. No means you don't want to make the change.
President Blair,
Aye.
Treasurer Owens,
Aye.
Director Pushkar,
No.
Director Olkey,
Aye.
Vice President Greider,
Aye.
Director Ponder,
Aye.
Director Harmon.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, so now we have a new version of 0340 with the word public instead of the word all that is in front of us. Does anybody else want to make a motion or to share any final comment?
What was my previous one? Oh, okay, motion to amend again.
Okay,
Sorry. Making this a case-by-case scenario, using the word hold on, where did it go?
Is it the second paragraph, the word will?
Or inaccurate.
Consequences.
Maybe.
Maybe, yes. Instead of the word will, we're gonna use the words may be imposed progressively,
That is the motion. Do we have a
allowing it
second?
to be case by case.
Second.
That is a second. So that is before us. Any discussion on changing the word will to the word may? Okay, board, we will vote on the second Oki amendment.
I feel powerful.
Switch the word will to the word may. All right, we'll do
I know
roll
she
call.
was a first, but who was the second to this?
Greider. Oh, no, sorry, Owens. Thank you. All right, by roll call, again, I is a vote to change the word will to may.
May space be. May space.
May space be, 2 words, not maybe.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Got it. All right, it's all before us. You know what you're voting on, board?
No.
All right, roll call.
Treasurer Owens. Aye. President Blair.
Aye.
Director Harmon.
Aye.
Vice President Greider.
Aye.
Director Olkey.
Aye.
Director Pushkar. Aye. Director Ponder.
Aye.
Motion carries. We have a new 0340 in front of us that now switches the word will to the word may. Any other comments regarding 0340 as it is before us?
Mr. Delaney, did you check on that statute by any chance?
I was not able to find, I found things both ways. I believe a simple majority is all that it takes, but to put that firmly in record, I wouldn't want to do that from a Google search that I'm doing here.
Why not?
It's too early in my term, Mr. Ponder.
You're right.
I'm smart, move. Yeah, 2 years from now, it's gonna be a fun board meeting. All right, we have 0340 before us in its revised form. Any other comments?
I'm thinking about making a motion.
Okay,
Number 14, to avoid any comments which may be interpreted as undermining the administration of the district. May be interpreted.
okay, I don't see a.
Bye.
I don't see a
I'm sorry, 11. No, wait a minute.
Where are we?
Number 11.
Yeah, 11.
Okay,
Sorry.
so number 11 will be striked, but it'll be the bullet point that is referring to number 11.
That's not a change that we,
Right.
that was being made this time.
Correct.
We just want to change it.
But are you saying to avoid any
Strike.
comments which may be interpreted as undermining the administration of the district?
I
And
think
you're wanting to make an amendment to that?
it's too ambiguous.
What would you like to make the amendment?
Strike it.
Okay, so we have a motion by Director Pushkar to strike the bullet point associated with number 11. Right here.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, yeah, you second?
Yep.
So motion by Director Pushkar, seconded by Director Harmon. Now we can discuss. You want to share why you would like to strike number 11?
As I repeated, it's too ambiguous. Not that, I don't think that is something that is unethical. It's an interpretation and is ambiguous, as we were just talking about just a few minutes ago.
So because of ambiguity, you would like to strike that altogether? Okay. If there's a motion, there's a second. Is there any conversation on this amendment?
I would just add to this that we've heard I've heard comments that we have to do this.
Mhm.
And it's just as I was reading the book Viral, and I talk all the time, choices are critical. Whatever choice you make during the day, you're going to have to live with the consequences. We can choose to do this or not. We don't have to do this. So just like I don't have to vote for Jane's proposal, but I just wanted to add that little bit that we're not bound to have to do any of this stuff. We're choosing to do this. So.
That there is wisdom in a future board to decide how to apply this. Gotcha. Any other conversations about the Pushkar amendment 0340. Seeing no comments about the amended version of 0340, let's move to a vote on 0340. Again, a yes on this is to strike number 11 from 0340, a no is to retain it. By roll call.
Director Pushkar. Aye. Director Olkey.
I know, I'm sorry. The English teacher in me is struggling with this right now.
Gotcha. It's just time for a vote versus conversation.
No.
Treasurer Owens.
No.
President Blair.
No.
Vice President Greider.
No.
Director Ponder.
Aye.
Director Harmon.
No.
Motion fails. We are back to 0340 in its current form with only the two changes already mentioned through the two Olkey amendments. Any other comments regarding 0340? Any other motions, amendments? So 0340 is in front of us. By roll call.
Director Ponder.
No.
Vice President Greider.
Yes, aye.
President Blair.
Aye.
Treasurer Owens.
Aye.
Director Pushkar.
No.
Director Olkey.
Aye.
Director Harmon.
No.
Director, oh, and that's everybody.
The motion passes.
Welcome to groupthink.
Board, we have a motion to approve the policies and regulations as presented. And this is a different agenda item than what we just talked about. Director Pushkar, second by Director Ponder. Any conversations? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Motion passes. And next we have superintendent comments. I want to pay attention, it does not say interim superintendent comments. Superintendent comments.
Thank you, thank you, President Blair. And first off, I just want to thank all 7 Board of Education members for placing your trust in me to continue to serve as superintendent and lead this amazing district. This district's been a part of my life for 21 years as an educator, but also as a former student. It really holds a special place in my heart. I look forward to continuing to work with our staff, our families, and others as we continue to implement our strategic plan. This is an amazing place with a long history of academic excellence. I think we can all attest to that. But it's also more than that. It's a place with caring, committed individuals that give every day all they have to do what's best for kids. I've been fortunate enough to experience that while watching my own kids go through this district, and I'm forever indebted to all those educators and other staff that have supported them, and I look forward to proudly serving alongside of them for the duration of my time in this institution. I also want to take a moment to recognize and thank our staff and our families for their patience. As some other people alluded to earlier, their understanding and flexibility during last week's unexpected early dismissal. I have to say that is one I hope doesn't happen again. Every forecast and the National Weather Service estimated that snow would not arrive in our area until a little after 4 o'clock. As we all know, the snow came much earlier than anticipated and prompted an early dismissal. Unfortunately, roads quickly became impassable. And I don't know for sure, but maybe in the first time in district history, we temporarily paused running buses until we thought it was then safe to resume those routes. I know this caused lengthy delays and confusion for parents. I want you to know, and I hope our community understands, that it is our practice after any weather incident, safety incident, we as a leadership team debrief. We're always looking to do better, and we will do better. But the one thing that I'm proud of on that day is at the end of that day, 16,563 students arrived home. And that's because of our drivers, our teachers, our support staff, our building leaders, and also our district office administrators who stepped up to do anything and everything required on that day. I want to thank staff for their commitment, and I want to thank our families for their grace and understanding. We had staff members still in school buildings at 6:30, 6:45, 7 o'clock at night, waiting to make sure that every student got picked up and every student got home safely. So I want to say thank you. Shifting gears a bit, I want to share a quick reminder about the Community Resource Fair coming up this Saturday, December 13th, beginning at 8:45 in the Francis Howell North Athletic Commons. Our Alternative Learning Department teams up with community partners each year to make this event happen. It's a simple way for families to connect with groups that offer support in areas like assistive technology, mental health supports, recreation, behavior supports, and more. If you can, please help spread the word to anyone who might benefit. This event runs alongside our annual Special Olympics basketball tournament, and the community is invited to come out and support our cheerleaders and our Special Olympics athletes. A couple of other reminders before I close. Board candidate filing for the April 7th election is now open. 3 seats will be open in April. Filing will close at 5 p.m. on December 30th. Information about how to file is available on the district website via the Board of Education page. Other calendar reminders: finals for our high schoolers begin next week. We wish them all the best. Friday, December 19th is an early release day for our middle and high school students. And Monday, December 22nd is an early release day for all students and the last day before winter break. Teachers have a work day on Monday, January 5th, and students will return to school on Tuesday, January 6th. I hope that our staff and our students take the time to rest and recharge. I appreciate all the work that's taken place during first semester, and I look forward to seeing everyone again in 2026. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, are there any board comments tonight?
Yeah, I have comments.
Okay.
Nobody else?
We'll go with Jane.
Couple of things. I'm going to ask Mr. Bureau, how old are you? What?
16.
Okay, I'm going to ask that at this time if you would take your leave, because I'm going to be reading some things that are inappropriate for minors.
Let him stay.
Well, actually, a couple different things. In this case, we actually have the parent here. So the parent wants him to stay.
I am comfortable with him being part of whatever this discussion is.
Okay. So thank you for that. It is a...
Yeah, respectfully, I will not leave.
Gotcha. So I appreciate the heads up. And those for you watching us online, I appreciate the heads up to give them space to move. Let me share this piece because I will allow Jane to share sections from books. Jane, you are free to share your viewpoint. If you choose to read from a book, I would appreciate if you would give the name of the book, its context, and whether it's in a middle school or high school. I would appreciate if you paraphrase any sections that are graphic, or maybe you bleep certain words. If a word has the N-word in it, I would ask that you would use the term N-word. You and I can give heads up before you start so that anyone watching at home can have a moment to redirect as well, just the way we would also give parents opportunity to review what their kids are reading. So I just want you all to know I am choosing to allow Jane to share sections from books. Your viewpoint, your perspective is free speech, just like the free speech from patrons, other board members, and you can make a comment right now. And I gave you suggestions, preferences, but it is your decision to go forward how you want to go forward.
Point of order, how long are we allowing this to happen for?
We have not identified a length of board comments, but if it feels like one person's comment is longer, like if it hits 15 minutes, and like before, whatever that number is,
15 minutes.
like there is there will be a limit to the length, but not a limit to the topic. The acceptance of free speech is not acceptance of endless speech.
Can we agree on a 3-minute time frame?
We have not done that before, and so I would recommend against
Can we
doing
make
that.
a motion?
I would say if you wanted to do that, it would be more of a changing board behavior going forward. So it would not be just today, it would be going forward. And I would recommend that that would be a conversation for next board meeting.
So we'll put it on the agenda next board meeting?
If the board wants to have a certain length of board member comments, the board can make that conversation next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, before I get started, I'd like to remind this board that on November 20th, we had for a first reading policy 412. A second reading did not occur this month, so I would encourage President Blair to get that and Mr. Delaney to get that on the agenda for next month. I don't know how it got overlooked, but that was the policy that talked about patrons only dividing up a 5-minute talk among 3 people, giving them a minute 45 seconds or so each. That did not.
I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to ask Jane Hepler, but I think that went for a second read last month and was approved by the board.
Okay, because it says first reading. Okay.
Well, we will look into that.
Yeah, please, sorry.
I think the impression of the board is that we have voted to approve it. But we will look further into that.
Thank you.
And so, again, the board will practice allowing full board members' comments to go on.
Another thing that I wanted to discuss and to rebut one of the comments made this evening about anti-teacher leaning by me personally. I'd like to remind this person that I was part of the conservative board that voted to change the problem with the steps that were missed by teachers due to no raises given a certain year. I forget exactly how many teachers were affected, but each teacher now is on the step that they were supposed to be on, and I do not call that being anti-teacher. So thank you for that. Also, congratulations to the cheerleading team. That was a really great, fantastic victory. I was honored to be a debate coach at France Howell North last Friday night, and I'm always extremely impressed at their hard work and dedication. That hard work will serve them well in the future as well as the short term. Sometimes it was hard to choose a winner, but I wanted each of them that participated to know that they're a truly great example to their peers. Okay, I'm going to start reading some things from a book. Some guys like to watch girls getting off all by themselves, make it look good for the camera. I was never into touching myself, but it isn't so bad, especially when I'm high. Besides the occasional H, Bryn supplies me with Bud, mediocre seeded Mexican, and prescription downers. Not sure where he gets them, and I don't really care. As long as I'm buzzed, the things he asks of me are easy to do, and hey, anything's better than wasting away in Santa Cruz. I beg for a buzz first pot won't do. It has to be smack, and 3 long pulls of the acrid smoke barely take me to the place I need to be. Oscar watches, waits impatiently for the H to kick in. You should use a needle. Smoking the lady is a waste of good dope. Fear queasy, I stumble down the hall into the bedroom. Oscar follows, shutting closed, body's lean, muscular. Another time, another place, I might find him attractive, but attraction is about choice. I have no choice but to do as he has paid me to do. Within seconds, I hate Oscar too. He breathes beer, sweats onions, and there is no there is no move when he bites my neck and lower. I'll wear his teeth marked for days. Stop, you're hurting me. You think that hurts? You ain't seen nothing yet. His teeth close even harder, and his hand squeezes my arms like a vise. Now bruising pain. I give myself to the morphine shroud, denying the pounding between my thighs. Something makes me look towards the door. Bryn stands there staring. From a different book. Mom, Uncle Stanley is behaving.
What was
I have the floor right now.
We can't interrupt to ask the name of the book. I asked if you could, but she does not have to list the name of the book.
Mom, Uncle Stanley is behaving inappropriately, I said. Oh, you're probably imagining it, she said. He groped me, and he's wanking off. Mom cocked her head and looked concerned. Poor Stanley, she said. He's so lonely. But it was gross. Mom asked me if I was okay. I shrugged and nodded. Well, there you go, she said. She said that sexual assault was a crime of perception. If you don't think you're hurt, then you're not, she said. And my last book. She felt his cold fingers yank up her sweater and squeeze her breasts roughly. He pulled her sweater off and then, after some fumbling, her bra undipped and dropped both pieces of clothing on the wet ground. She could feel her nipples pucker and tighten in the salted wind. He began to suck them hard and she grimaced, looking over his head. It didn't occur to her to tell him to stop. With his free hand, he yanked at the button of her jeans, pulled down the zipper, and stuffed his hand down her underpants. He found her warm opening and twisted 2 fingers inside. Her breath caught sharply on the tight issue inside of her unknit and gave way. And that's all I have. And gave way. Then the strangest thing happened. The pain of what he was doing to her somehow made her feel better. And that's all that I have for this month. I thank you for listening. I thank you for the efforts that for people that believe that these words are inappropriate for teenagers to help get these books out of the school library and to keep them out. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Pushkar. Any other board comments?
Question, was the first book Bud Not Buddy by Christopher Paul Curtis?
It's not a conversation.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you just share your comment. Yeah, you can share your comments.
Oh.
But not to ask questions.
Oh, comments. Oh.
Yeah, this is your uninterrupted time.
Got you. I got comments. Here. All right. I would like to take a moment to address the concerns we've heard tonight about library materials. I want to be clear. I trust our professional librarians, and I trust our teachers. They use established selection criteria that consider age appropriateness, literary merit, and educational value. These are not arbitrary decisions. They're made by trained professionals following our district's policies. I also want to address the underlying assumption that we've heard, that if something makes adults uncomfortable when we read aloud in a board meeting, it shouldn't be available to students. I respectfully disagree with that standard. Context matters. Hearing excerpts read aloud out of context in a formal meeting setting is very different from a high school student choosing to read a book that addresses difficult topics in a developmentally appropriate way. Our students, some of whom are adults over the age of 18, deserve access to diverse narratives that reflect the complexity of the world that they're growing up in. Literature that deals with difficult subjects like violence, death, sexuality, discrimination, or trauma have legitimate educational and personal value when it's age appropriate and approved. I also want to remind our community that we have systems in place. Parents who have concerns about a specific material can follow our formal book challenge process. Additionally, parents can choose to be notified about what books their children check out, and they can guide their own children's reading choices. That is appropriate parental involvement. What's not appropriate is one person's comfort level dictating what's available to all students and all families in our district. I value intellectual freedom. I trust our parents to make choices for their children, and I trust our librarians and teachers to continue doing their professional work. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board comments?
I have something I'd like to
We'll go ahead, Director
Just
Harmon.
go real quick.
We'll go to Director Harmon.
Yeah.
So just a couple things. One is there was a curious email that, and I've heard it, and I haven't heard so much recently, but regarding marijuana and vaping in restrooms. I wonder if we could somehow find out what we're doing about that, what actions are being done, what can be done, what's your practice to somehow address that issue? And not right now, not right now.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah, so, but I mean,
I think that's appropriate. So at the next meeting, if not before, if you want to share it with the board or with the whole public, what's being done.
so
Thank you.
that, and then I would say, tonight was a perfect example of why parents need to be involved in their kids' education. Because the topic of a book came up, and the parents were involved. They said it's fine for him to read the book. If a parent, all the policy says is a parent should be able to challenge a book to see if it's appropriate to be in a school. I don't see anything wrong with a parent being involved, because one of the most dangerous things, and if you paid attention any in history, one of the most dangerous things somebody can say is, trust me. Trust the expert. That scares me. So if we trust the expert, hey, Mr. Delaney, you don't have to do any more reviews. Trust your team, they're doing their job. Trust your team, guys. You don't have to do any more reviews of your teachers. Everything's fine. They got their teacher degree, they're perfect. No mistakes will ever be made. Their jobs will be done 100% of the time, no questions asked. That's not reality. If there's trust, there should always be, what's this expression? Trust, but verify. So, and that's all we're saying, is, hey, we are trusting the administration to do what they're supposed to do. We're trusting teachers to do what they're going to do. We just want to allow parents and the administration, whoever, to verify. That's all this, the school book policy says. So parents, be involved.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Harmon. Treasurer Owens?
Yes, I wanted to share something. I was thinking about happy holidays, and we say that very lightly, and everybody doesn't have a happy holiday. So I'm always thinking, how can I make things better? And I contacted Grace Painter, who serves families in need in this district, and she made it very easy for me to help some families in need so they can have happy holidays. So I wanted to share this information so you too could join in helping these families have happy holidays. All you need to do is write a check to Francis Howell School District, Adopt a Family. Put that on the title of your check, and then bring it to the central office, or I guess you could mail it, and give it to Denise Foster in finance. And then you can help a family that needs help so they can have a happy holiday. Thank you.
Other board comments?
I'd like to. Please, Mr. Black. As uncomfortable as this has been tonight for some may have liked what was said, some may have not. I want to just kind of just state for everybody watching and everybody here that this thing working. I've said it before from the seat that there's strength in dissent. To Ron's point, we don't want a group think up here. We want people to have differing opinions. We want people to be able to speak for the constituents that voted for them. And what you saw tonight, everybody, is this working. I have a lot of respect for the people that are sitting up here because they stepped up. And over the course of the last few years, I've come to really understand that it takes a lot of courage to come up here and put yourself in public and do this for not just us, but for our families as well. And I just think that we really have to understand that we are not just here saying these things because this is what Carolee Owens or Mark Ponder or Sarah Oakey think and feel. We are representing the people that voted for us. And while I may not say the same things as President Blair or Director Harmon, that's the strength of this body, is the fact that we do have differing opinions. We do share them with each other. We do respect each other up here. And like I said, as uncomfortable as this can become, the strength comes from the uncomfortability. So, as we're working these things out, we are up here trying to make this district stronger and better for the kids of these schools. So just everybody keep that in mind and try to understand what we are going through up here as we are going through all of the trials and tribulations of passing policies and voting and things like that. It is if you think it's uncomfortable out there, come over on this side. It gets a little worse over here. So just again, we all have to understand that when we are saying things from a point of view that we believe that the stakeholders that voted for us would want us to put out to the public. Second thing, the cheerleaders of Howell. A very, very big congratulations to them. I went to high school with another state champion cheerleading team the year that I believe that they won the year that we lost in soccer. So it was very rare for us to lose in soccer, but they won the year that we didn't, and boy, did we never hear the end of it. So enjoy your win, everybody, and congratulations on a very, very powerful, hopefully continuing legacy of cheerleader wins in Francis Howell. So thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Director Ponder. Drew, is there anything that you wanted to share? We always give the student representative a chance to say something at the end.
Usually they don't stay
I'd like to reiterate again, thank you very much for having me. I definitely think that there was some, fruitful back and forth between the school board members, and I would agree that that is kind of, representative democracy in action. And I don't mean this to target anyone in particular, but I think that if a person is going to give a speech and then ask if the only kid in the room is going to leave the room for that speech, that it might not be something that should be said out loud and shared to hundreds of people watching from their homes and more people out in the audience out there. But, just food for thought.
Thank you very much for your time. I just want to wrap up. Did you want to share anything? Wrap up. Just a couple things. Number one, I love having student representatives here because it reminds us why we do it all. Because every once in a while you can kind of forget the fact there's kids and students involved. Drew, I appreciate you being here. Maybe we should call you Governor. Governor Drew. We should do that. And just highly appreciate it. I highly appreciate your involvement tonight and in all your classes as well. Wish you nothing but the best of luck going forward. I also realize that after this, the board's going to take a photo with Mr. Delaney in the hallway with better lighting, and we'll see how his face is different from the beginning photo to the end photo. But he's known us for 20 years, and he's here. So we're glad that you're here. I want to share that. I do want to reiterate what every one of us agrees is that there should be a book challenge process. How it is and what it looks like, it takes shape. And a book that was chosen by a librarian 15 years ago, maybe today's librarian thinks something different. That's completely okay, and it's okay for conversations around it. And I welcome it. I definitely want to emphasize, parental rights. That a parent has the right to choose what their kids read. I get a little scared when a parent decides what other kids can read. For me, one of the things that drives me is this idea that we're talking about book challenges and not page challenges or sentence challenges. So being able to know the whole book is helpful. And to be honest, there's other books that are being challenged right now. There's multiple books that have been challenged at one middle school, and you can be able to see what those review committees have said in response to them. I invite you to look at those as well. And so I do want to share two compliments. One, FHN Choral had a concert, and their choral concert, they announced that they're going to a regional competition that required 3 years of back video of all their different performances. And I was told, because my singing voice is awful. Mm-hmm. It is. I've had friends tell me, Steve, stop singing. I like this song. I don't think it's going to help Carolee.
They call you Steve?
They did. It was a long time ago. It feels weird, doesn't it? Yeah. Marky Mark. But what I heard was that what they're competing in is similar to going to state, but harder. So when we celebrate somebody going to state, we celebrate. But apparently this is going to a regional level. And I appreciate that. I was there, happened to be Vice President Greider and Mr. Delaney who were there. And they asked whoever sang in the past to come up on stage, and Vice President Greider joined the choir of alumni, Francis Howell North Choir. and she sang. And I think everybody else who went up there was like 21 years old and lower. So it's all a bunch of like 21-year-old and younger people come up on stage as alumni, and Amy just waving. But congratulations to FHL Choral. Also, a thank you to all the bus drivers. You're so important. We see you. We see what you do. We see you. For all the custodians who have to mop up the slush that comes in from snow, and every single teacher has to put up with the squeaky shoe sound in the hallway through hundreds of kids doing it. It's not easy, but small little parts of their experience. We appreciate your patience through it all. With that, I just want to say thank you all for being here tonight. Merry Christmas to those who celebrate Christmas. Happy holidays for those of you who may not celebrate in one way or the other. But for all of you, I want you to know that the very best days of Francis Howell are still ahead of us. And to the superintendent, to the admin, to the teachers, you have a strategic plan, you have inspiration, experience behind you. You are equipped and trusted by this board to go forward and educate our students and make us the very best education for all students. So thank you all very much. I'd like to have a motion to close. Motion by Director Pushkar, seconded by Director Ponder. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carries. Thank you all and have a good night.